the Crypto Kid, not only your name and kind of likeness, but also the title of your book.
You got it.
Awesome, man. Good stuff. How you getting some good reception on that?
Yeah, we've been doing very well on Amazon. We just had a book signing a couple weeks ago now, and we had filled it up, standing room only, did very well.
Nice. Good to hear, man. So, yeah, crypto-based ads, some of these crypto advertisements in the Super Bowl, which was well watched. I think it was something like, I heard, what was it, 111 million or something?
Yes.
Big Super Bowl. So it was a close game, and so talk to me about some of those ads.
Yeah, of course, it was a great game, a lot of fun to watch. It's the biggest televised event of the year, and what we saw during that is that in this year in particular, we had a big surplus of these ads involving cryptocurrency, metaverse, all the buzzwords you hear on a daily basis nowadays. And one of the biggest ads and one of the most notable ads was a QR code that bounced on the screen for 56 seconds. And what it did was it got the curiosity of everyone. It was very, very good, very well thought out for them, I thought. The marketing department did a great job there, and it was exactly what it was. It was the old DVD little video screen in which it was a QR code that flashed to certain colors and bounced on the screen until it hit the corner, right? It was very simplistic, but it brought the older generation back to their younger years, right? And of course, the new generation, all they wanted to do was scan the QR code.
Yeah.
Now, there were a couple security issues with this, though. So, number one, it did extremely, extremely well. It got 20 million hits in 56 seconds.
Wow.
And you said it's just over 100 million watching. So they captured just under 20% of the audience to actually click on it and engage with their advertisement. So they did very, very well, but it crashed the site in 15 seconds.
Holy
cow. So, yes. They spent, I believe it was upwards of 14 million on that ad and $0 on site management.
Oh, my goodness.
A little bit of a conflict there. But what they did was they brought a bunch of new users into the website, and then there was a promotion running saying that if you sign up now, you get $15 free of cryptocurrency if you sign up before February 15, right? And that's today. So that's what they did. They did an extremely good job with that. But what it did was it was very controversial because in the cybersecurity space, it opens the door to phishing scams, which I also want to talk about because you need to protect your assets when you're in this space. It's very, very big. I only use Ledger Nano S. I use a hardware wallet to store all of my private keys and to have my assets offline. It's very important. And so it is good to bring awareness to people that you should not just go and scan every QR code you see, right? And it's a very big thing because now what's happening is after they've got 20 million scans in less than a minute, 56 seconds, right? After that took prominence, now you have all of these scammers going out and showing the ad with their own QR code, and it redirects to a phishing scam in which they collect personal data, and not only personal data, personal financial information.
Wow. Because
Coinbase is the website. And it's a perfect target audience, people that want to get into Coinbase, that have no idea what to do, and they're just going to throw in information.
Wow. So they recreated that ad, showed it to their own, served it up to their own data, either some kind of a list they had, email list or text messaging list, and then people are scanning that. And wow, so that's giving them a direct access to that either phone or computer device.
So these ads, I think there's a big upside, and I think they did very, very well, but at the same time, I think there are definitely risks associated, and so you can look at both sides of that.
Yeah, that's interesting. And so cryptocurrency, it's growing well. It seems to be going well. I think there's a little bit dip right now. I was talking to a friend of mine actually about crypto at this Super Bowl party that they hosted, and I was surprised to see even in the top 10 we had talked about Dogecoin.
Yes,
but it's still in the top 10, right?
It's still in the top 10. It's still coasting there. Yes. Most of the hype has died down now. What happened was during SNL, that big week where Elon Musk hosted SNL, and Elon Musk was referred to as the Doge father. He was the guy that was really carrying it, right? He was spreading to his 50+ million Twitter following base that this is the coin to buy. It's going to be the future. It's just a lot of fun, right? And it captured that retail investor market, and it was perfect. I think it served its purpose. It got people involved in the space. Is it a good investment? I would argue no. Is it fun? I would argue yes. I would not discourage people to go throw $100 into Doge and just have fun with it, right? Mm-hmm. It gets them into investing. It gets people engaged. It's a token with no tokenomics, and it has a picture of a dog on it. Who doesn't love that, right?
Yeah.
Now, should it be a real investment? No. But is it fun? Yes, right? And so that did bridge that gap, and I think it served its purpose and brought people into the space.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so we're talking with Jackson Shembekar here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes, and we've had Jackson on in the past, talked about crypto and the wallets and all the different areas. Talk to me about Russia, because there's obviously stuff going on in Russia right now with Ukraine, etc. But also they're doing something along the lines with their crypto. Yes.
So I'm kind of going to focus the entire eastern side of the world, like the globe you can see right now. It's always been shaky with crypto. We've had that eastern pocket, especially China, they've banned cryptocurrency over 200 times. And it's almost a meme now in the space where CNBC comes out, Bloomberg, all these business channels, they come out every single year after year, and say China has banned cryptocurrency over and over and over again. And it always comes back, and it's almost like a little tug-of-war game and a cat and mouse game, just going back and forth over and over. And so finally we've had some very good news come out. The Russian ministry is making some positive development with cryptocurrency mining. And that's very big for a couple reasons. Number one, I mean, Russia's huge, right? And there's going to be a lot of computing power introduced into the space once this regulation gets clarity. But beyond that, hash rates are going to increase. Demand is going to increase. There's going to be more clarity, and so more investor surplus coming in on that side, because these institutional places are going to come in with these big money
investors.
And yes, institutional investors, yes. And I think that's going to really change the game in a little bit. And again, we're talking about maybe a 2 to 10% shift here, but I think that's still important over time, right? And that's the stuff that we look for, because the hash rates are going to improve. The difficulty level in mining is going to go up as a result, because there's more people involved in the space.
Right.
The mining pools are going to grow as a result of that. And so it's going to boost the whole entire market kind of shifting to the right if you look at it from an economic standpoint, right?
Yeah.
And that's very important. And that stuff, it is going back and forth. And when that happens, provided that it's successful, it's going to trickle into China. It's going to trickle into India. And it's going to continue to expand that whole industry on the eastern side of the world.
Yeah, I mean, that side of the world right now is definitely a place to keep an eye on. I heard on one of my podcasts I listened to, they were talking about Russia and China combining forces they agreed to terms on a oil pipeline, some kind of an agreement. And the big takeaway for me was that it's not based on the U.S. dollar, it's based on the euro.
Yep.
So that says a lot. It shows a lack of confidence in the American dollar, and they're saying, hey, let's get away from that American dollar. And of course, our politicians have ran our dollar supply into the ground. Talk a little bit about what you've
Absolutely.
seen, in terms of the American dollar shrinking, the inflation. They're growing the money supply, and just the effects that it's having. The middle class is getting hit hard right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've all heard the cliche statistic at this point with the massive amount of money printing, but it is still important. I do think it's important. And you've had these people in the financial industries say that you should buy gold and Bitcoin, and gold, silver, Bitcoin, even extend it to silver, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't think they're wrong, right? I really don't. I think if you want to preserve wealth, if you want to have that classic hedge against inflation and throw money in a spot where it's not going to go down 7% a year on average, mm-hmm. I think that's a good thing, right? I really do. And it feeds into why the S&P is getting hotter and hotter on the retail investor side, because people don't know what to do, and they just know that the U.S. dollar is going to continue to be devalued. And politicians are going to continue to print more because it brings down the U.S. debt. Why would they not? And if you look at it from that standpoint, there is no incentive for them not to. Why would they? It helps them out with the debt. They're politicians. They don't care. I mean, it is what it is, right? And so you look at it from an American standpoint and say, well, the U.S. dollar is strong. But is it as strong as it once was? No. And so you have to place your bets and see where it is. And from an investment standpoint, you have to kind of see where it is. And I would argue that gold and Bitcoin are better bets than just holding your cash in your mattress.
Yeah, you definitely need to diversify. The thing I think with the accountability factor of that is in 22 there's going to be a shifting of the tide. So a lot of the backlash is going to be, hey, these guys are going to get voted out, both sides.
Oh, absolutely.
Both sides,
and I think a big piece of it right now is trying to raise interest rates and get it back to where it was. But the thing is, monetary policy or fiscal policy, raising an interest rate less than 1%, raising it 1%, that's not going to do it. That's not anywhere close to what we need. And the problem is that to raise it more than 3%, more than 4%, it's not going to happen, right? So we're in a very difficult spot, and you have to look at Powell up there with those industries, and it's a very tough spot to be in, right? And if you're the chair up there, if you're in government, mm-hmm. it is a tough spot to be in, right? And that the solution is not clear to how it can present itself, but it is very difficult to pass regardless of what that solution is.
Yeah, there's a recession coming, and Steve Cortez, one of the guys I listen to on the financial side, he's talking about a recession coming because we're past stagflation now, and so the explosive borrowing he mentioned, and that we're looking at a deep recession because it is inflation driven. And to your point as well, with raising the rates, if you raise the rates too aggressively, now you're hurting the real estate industry, which has been a main economic driver for the history of the United States. We always lead the country out of these tough times when it comes to people buying homes and refinancing their mortgages.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah. It's that question of you want to aggressively fix the problem, but if you go too aggressive, then it's too much, and it overburdens the markets. So you have to find that happy medium, which is a very difficult place to get to.
Yeah, one of the things we need to do is onshore, bring jobs back. That's Absolutely. One of the biggest things. Bring manufacturing back onshore. reshoring, bringing the common sense back to us. We're talking with Jackson Shembekar here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and he's the crypto kid. He's got his book out now as well. So yeah, it's interesting. What is your thoughts on this metaverse?
I'm a big believer in the metaverse. I'm going to tie it back to the Super Bowl commercials. Not only was it just Coinbase, not only FTX and these classic exchanges, but there were VR commercials. There absolutely were. And there were a lot of people with these headsets on. And then you see the Meta tag at the very end referring to Facebook and stuff. Facebook's changed their name to Meta. These are big, big moves. And I kind of go back to this big argument that if it was not here to stay, if it was not going to be something prominent in the next 10 years, why would Facebook, one of the biggest public companies, right? Why would they go and change their name? That is a huge, huge marketing decision in which everyone's heard of Facebook, not everyone's heard of Meta. So they decided to do that, lock up the domain, lock up the rights to that, and they decided to make that explosive change in the sense that it's going to turn an audience on or off, right? And they're going to say that it's going to be off. And right now, it's not. Right now, you could consider it a flop as of now. But the thing is, will this improve over the next decade? And that's a very good question, I think. If I were to gamble, I would say yes, but nobody knows. No one knows, right? But I do think it's here to stay. I think the application is endless. I think that decentralized finance as a whole in this space, in the sense that you can utilize blockchain technology and own certain assets in a world that is digital, I think we've already had this, and now we're able to use it with blockchain. Yeah. I go back to Fortnite and say that their concerts have been used in Fortnite. An actual digital concert within a video game. That still blows my mind.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Now we have a digital universe to use all of these different assets. I think it's going to be huge, and I think it's here to stay.
Yeah, it's interesting. You look at where people put their money today, and those pre-roll videos on YouTube. There's a guy that comes up, he pops up, Jeff Lerner, and he said he's made something like $80 million selling real estate in the metaverse.
It's crazy.
I haven't researched it a whole lot, but it's interesting.
No, it's entirely correct because it feeds the royalties directly back into the creator's pocket. It's a huge thing. So in the past, what would happen? You start the record label. You're a rapper. You're doing anything you want that's creative, that's producing something.
Yep.
And you have that audience, and the record label or whatever that governing entity is, they're going to take the majority of it. Now with NFTs, you're going to get 80% back.
Right.
And that's massive. Gary Vee himself, he did 90 million because he had a 10% baked into that code. Yep. And the code is public. If you don't like it, you don't have to purchase it. But everyone did it anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting. Always a pleasure, man. Good conversation. Absolutely. There. Good stuff. Reach out.